Terry Riley has chosen as his Eagle advisor Susan Hare. We're all sitting up here at the same time to speak on his behalf about his scouting trail towards rank of Eagle.
Yes, the Hares and the Rileys have spent quite a bit of time together over the years. I warned Terry when he asked me to speak on his behalf. I said, I'm going to probably embarrass you because you were the cutest little tiger cub, and I remember those days when he was this big. Well, he joined Tigers with a good number of his classmates, and of those 17 or so boys, 7 are in the troop. As a Cub Scout, Terry remembers visiting the firehouse and how fun it was to hold the fire hose as it squirted everything. He also remembers going to Sprig Lake, and especially Mrs. Flores' magic fishing pole. Every time she cast that pole and handed it to a boy, by gum, they hooked a fish. And that was pretty special, but then you had to take the fish off the hook, and that's kind of where Terry wasn't too pleased, and there's wonderful pictures of him squirming as much as the fish because he didn't want to touch it. He did want to have me give a shout out, I think that's the term, to Mrs. Trebison and Mr. Moe, who were wonderful Webelos Den leaders and helped him earn the Arrow of Light in Cub Scouts. And I asked him when he wanted to be an Eagle Scout, and he said it was after receiving that Cub Scouts highest award that he wanted to become an Eagle Scout. So he bridged into Troop 390 and joined the Eagle Patrol with Neil Hopper as den leader. And your program gives the dates that he progressed through the ranks, and he progressed at a steady pace. In June 2002, he became a first-class scout, and it was then he decided that he wanted to be an Eagle Scout around the time he turned 16. He'd seen a lot of boys in the troop wait till the last minute, and Terry just didn't want that kind of anxiety. So he just made a steady pace, he didn't hurry, and he had a great time in Boy Scouts along the way. He just kept his eye on the goal. Some of those great times included the first outing to the district camporee with Ferguson Mitchell as his patrol advisor, patrol leader. And Ferguson, I guess, was very nervous because he had his dad's brand new stove, and he didn't want any of those younger scouts scratching or denting that stove. And lo and behold, nothing happened to it until it got in the pickup on the return home drive, and it got dented. And so he wants to make sure that Mr. Mitchell, so please pass this on, knows that it wasn't his fault, it was Ferguson's responsibility. In November of 2002, and that was just 4 years ago, Terry planned his first outing, and it was a really big one. It was the 100-mile bike trip, and he says he found out about it during a telephone call in the middle of the night, informing him that as new patrol leader, it was his responsibility. Well, imagine his surprise. And I think some of you boys may have inherited trips that were a surprise to you too. So he met with Mr. Brady, he tells me, about 3 weeks before the bike trip, and he has this vivid memory of Mr. Brady saying, well, you have a reservation, don't you? And Terry didn't. And the veins started bulging in Mr. Brady's head. But Mr. Brady is a great scoutmaster, and he had a suggestion. He said that the campground in Casa de Fruta had barbecue grills. So Terry did not put barbecue grills, or did not put grills or stoves on his camp list. The thing is, when Terry told me the story, it was the first time I'd ever seen him on the verge of breaking the scout law of kindness, because he had a little bit of pleasure in the fact that when they indeed got to the campground, there were no grills, and Mr. Brady had to go borrow some from the RV. He had 2 takeaways from this trip. One was, be prepared for Mr. Brady. And 2, if you ride 100 miles on a bike, you gotta expect your butt to hurt. His next high adventure trip was to White Stag leadership training, and that was during the year they instituted the week-long 40-mile backpack trip. And I don't think the boys really knew that they were going to be hiking 40 miles that week. I know Will didn't. They were on the same trip. Terry learned on that the importance of paying attention to your feet. Because after 40 miles, if you wear boots that are too small, you will have to have all your toenails removed. And he did. And they grew back. He also learned that the patrol leader really does expect you to pack everything on the pack list, like a poncho, because if you don't, you're going to get wet. Ever since then, Terry's tried very diligently to pack everything on the pack list, and it doesn't always happen. And he said one of the pleasures of going on a lot of trips with his dad is that if Terry happens to forget his mess kit, somehow Dad always seems to have an extra fork. But it was no wonder that after those two exciting experiences, Terry decided that the rest of his adventures would be on the water. He went twice to Florida to Sea Base, and after I've heard about it, I think of it as Boy Scout Club Med. It was a pretty good time and pretty easy high adventure. He also went on the Big Float Trip 3, and it was on this trip that he learned another valuable lesson when he decided to race Mr. Brady in his kayak. And I have to quote Terry here. He says, you know, Mr. Brady may look like he can't go that fast, but he's a beast. Terry also learned something special on that trip, and that was the importance of an experienced mom scout. I don't know if Mrs. Woodward is here today, but she was on the ground crew, and they needed ice. So she took a couple of boys with her to town just for ice. And well, ice cream and candy and a good time, and an hour and a half later after leaving just for ice, Mrs. Woodward's only demand was that they finish all the goodies in the car and not talk about it when they got back to camp. I think he's liked having Mom Scouts on the trail ever since. And on his Trail to Eagle, he's overachieved in fulfilling his leadership requirements. My goodness, he's been patrol leader, lots of troop positions. He was a crew leader for Sea Base, senior patrol leader twice, director of Trail de Force at summer camp, and he's currently the president of Venture Cruise 697. During his time as senior patrol leader, Terry was especially proud that he created a new position of assistant senior patrol leader for patrol recognition. He instituted Camp Marine Prep Day, and he was at the helm in 2005 when Troop 390 won top honors as the best troop at Camp Marine. He learned that if you do a good job as senior patrol leader, and during the next election say that you are willing to serve, as all of our scouts should say, that you may in fact get elected again. And that did happen, so he served twice. He learned that being SPL is easier the second time around, but that because most of the job is communicating and delegating, your scout skills get pretty rusty. So if you ever want to throw Terry a curve, ask him to tie a half hitch. That's pretty fun. I mentioned communication. During his term as senior patrol leader, he was a freshman at Bellarmine. He took rhetoric. He joined the speech and debate team, and that was an experience he calls a crash course in communication. That was a lot for a young man to take on as a freshman in high school. So after many, many outings, 28 merit badges, and numerous leadership positions, Terry started to work on his Eagle project 4 years after becoming a first-class scout, just like he planned. His Eagle project consisted of reconstructing a backboard at the St. Martin of Tours school and painting it with the Bengal tiger logo. It is huge, and it's become the backdrop for lots of school photographs. So I think that was just an added bonus for the school. I was there while he did his project, and I saw the value of his delegation skills. I don't think I ever saw this young man pick up a tool. And yet, there's this wonderful backboard that was constructed. It was a perfect Terry project because it involved also his artistic skills, because it has that beautiful Bengal tiger on it. Terry is a Boy Scout through and through. He uses his lessons he learned on the Trail to Eagle to good purpose, in service to other and community involvement, in leadership as the newly elected City Youth Commissioner for District 6, loyalty to his school, speech and debate team, and to his brother Scouts. Terry, I want to thank you for the privilege of speaking on your behalf, and for the joy of watching you grow from that cute little tiger cub into an awesome Boy Scout.